as he was desperately waiting for SMG's cannon fire before he could use blink and get out of the fort. He saw Beach Boy enter the area and instantly he felt panicked. If Beach Boy noticed the lack of elites inside the fort, he would understand that something was amiss. However, to his delight, he seemed clueless. Thank God for stupid people, Rudra thought, as he continued his grueling fight against the swarm of soldiers. Pink Lotus also entered the fort, soon after Beach Boy, and started to scan the area. She looked at the few elite tankers desperately struggling, but found it odd that the other assaulters were not visible. She instantly thought about how the elites had absolutely superior warriors, like Neatwit and Karna, and how they would not fall before the tankers. Something was amiss here. But before she could voice out her contours, a loud boom was heard. Boom, 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 boom. The sound of 50 cannons firing could be heard. Giant cannonballs hit the swarm of players trying to enter the fort, and a few even hit the northern fort wall, instantly collapsing the wall, burying many alliance members. SMG was finally here. The ship was here, and the cannons were fired. Rounds were reloaded, and within 10 seconds, the second volley arrived. The alliance members turned towards the river to see a massive ship floating downstream, its cannons pointing towards them. The large gray wolf design as its mast. The true elite's flag rising high on the ship. The ship also had 4 archballistae fitted, as swarms of arrows also grazed the alliance members, who tried to approach the ship. Scorpio was dumbfounded seeing the size of the ship, as he cursed under his breath. WTF is that thing? Why do the elites have it? Was the question on the millions of viewers' minds worldwide. A new variable had suddenly been introduced in the war. Rudra smiled. The timing was perfect. 30 seconds later, and the plan would have gotten infinitely more difficult. The tanks sighed in relief. They had less than 10% HP remaining, and would have failed to hold out long enough if SMG was any later. But to their joy, they carried out their parts beautifully. The guild won't lose the war because the tank division failed its job. They were proud as a big smile plastered their face. For the guild, they shouted as the first bomb went off. Boom, quickly followed by Bomb 27, as the fort started to crumple. Cola and Rhino had a big smile on their faces, as the Phase 2 had succeeded. Their tanks did them proud. Rudra instantly blinked, and teleported to the beach about 40 meters away from the southern wall, as Fatty Kalash blew up the entire water bomb stash in the basement. Boom! A massive explosion that shook the entire war arena occurred. The explosion reaching 30 meters in height. Debris flying into the sky, along with burned bodies of alliance members. Scorpio and the other 3 guild leaders watched in horror as half their army died inside that fort. In a shocking move that Noon saw coming, the elites blew up the fort, burying somewhere north of 85,000 alliance members, along with guild leaders Beach Boy and Pink Lotus. / bonus chapter for all the gifts and love you guys has shown me the last 2 days. I sincerely hope to give a 3rd chapter today. Shall we hit the Power Stone / ticket target, as we are close in both of them? Hope you enjoyed the bonus. Please comment if you did / Chapter 166 War 6. There were only 50,000 alliance members left alive after the fort collapsed. This happened because close to 85,000 alliance members died with the explosion of the fort. The archballistes had a kill rate of 150, and about 20 were injured per minute. They ran for close to an hour, and there were 10 such archballistes, making the total death count under the arrows to be close to 90,000. Also an additional 12,000 had been injured, also under the assault of Mediv. The bombs, the archballistes mounted on the pirate ship, the cannons fired, the arrows shot manually by elite guild members, and the members that died under the swords and shields of the tanks. The final death toll came around 25,000 troops. The massive army of 50,000 had been reduced to 50,000. The collapse of the fort was a masterstroke that Noon saw coming. Around the world, people were stunned by the massive fort blowing up, killing a third of the Alliance army with it. The viewership number of the war became the highest viewed event in the history of Grey Entertainment, as 457 million people were watching the stream live. The streaming service seeing a lifetime high single-day subscription count of 120 million new subscribers just throughout the duration of the war event. And boy oh boy did it deliver far beyond all expectations, beyond what anyone predicted. The elites were countering all odds to absolutely outmaneuver the Alliance, wiping more than 2/3 of their force. Only about 50,000 members left standing. And to everyone around the world, this was a feat worthy of being labeled as a stroke of brilliant genius, and Rudra as a master strategist never seen before. However, the creator of the plan, Rudra, had an ugly expression on his face. According to his calculations, only when the number of the Alliance members was brought at under 10,000 was he completely confident of victory. Him only expecting 25,000 alive after the fort collapsed. But the 50,000 standing was a bucket of cold water poured on him. About 15,000 of the 50,000 left alive were injured. However, many of them were quickly regaining HP under the healing of the priests and basic HP regeneration potions. Even the elites had losses on their sides. Close to 100 elites were dead. These included the 9 tanks, 10 archers, and about 80 lifestyle players. While it never came to it, but Rudra assigned the entire lifestyle division, after building the wall and mounting the archballistes, to go to the basement where the bombs were located and protected with their lives. While rest of the combat troops escaped to the south beach using the secret passage, the lifestyle guild stayed. They built a wall after the last player Mediv crossed the passage to the beach and stayed in the basement to guard it at all costs. Should even a single player breach the area, they were given explicit orders by Rudra to blow the structure up. While many label the lifestyle professions weak and useless in combat, it was not the case in the true elites. In this guild where everyone matters, even the lifestyle members contribute to the guild's strength, ready to die before letting the enemy pass. Thadi Kalash had indeed raised a batch of loyal and guild-centric players just like himself. Hence the odds now shifted from being overwhelmingly outnumbered to being massively outnumbered. While the world watched the nail-biting war event, the Alliance camp had a devastatingly low morale. What was supposed to be an easy war became a nightmare for them. Time and time again, they found out that the elites were 5 steps ahead of them the whole time. Scorpio started to quake in his boots. Goosebumps all over his skin. He was scared. Scared to lose th war. He lacked the spine of being a leader, as he could not give a single command to his remnant army because of the sheer fear of walking into another trap set up by the elites. What if he sent the troops charging only for the beach in front to actually be a minefield? What if suddenly aircraft started to appear and nuke his army? His mind ran crazy scenarios that were impossible to happen. However, the elites did the impossible time and time again. Nothing was certain dealing with him. Should he lose this war, he would lose everything. The fear of losing everything was so great in Scorpio's heart that he could not think of any good counterattack as a leader. Not only him. The other 3 guild leaders were not faring much better. The members kept asking the command center for the next command. But the command center was deathly silent. Unbeknownst to them, the situation was similarly grim even on the elite side. As the guild members understood that the enemy numbers were far more than what Phase 3 could execute, they turned to their almighty guild leader for the next command. This is where Rudra showed his true class as a master strategist. As while not everything was going to plan, he still had his men, and he still had a chance to grasp victory. It was foolish to charge into the 50,000 strong army without any real plan to duke it out man to man. The pirate ship had already sailed downriver and into the ocean, and it was impossible to row it back upstream towards the battle arena, unless the Alliance members charged towards the ship. The archballistes and cannons were useless. A deadlock ensued as none of the parties made a move while regrouping. It was at this moment at the impromptu Phase 4 started a result of the reincarnation knowledge. Rudra said, /////, alright guys. Not everything went as planned. There is trouble in the war arc. No more hidden cards. How will the elites overcome the odds? Also, I have a message to convey and it's long. So please do check the comments section. Shout out to Madison Hellbach, Memorial and Ian Crystal for the 500 coin gifts. To Mystic Genius for the 1,000 coin gift. And to Ivory Pope for the 2,000 coin gift. Thank you so much for the patronage, guys. Means a lot to me. ////. Chapter 167 War 7. Rudra had a strategy to win the war. However, it was a very risky strategy. In his previous life, this strategy was used by a group of 100 solo adventurers to fight against an horde of 3,000 men. The strategy was later called the Bow and Trishul strategy, which was infamous because of how often it failed horrendously. The entire Bow and Trishul strategy is based on the 3 Trishul heads. The 3 heads must have absolutely strongest players holding the position, as when any one of the 3 Trishul heads collapsed, the formation would become worthless. The Bow and Trishul formation referred to the long-range attackers, or in this case the pirate ship docked 25 meters off the coast loaded with 50 cannons and 2 archballistes. When the enemy was in range, they would find themselves with a barrage of aerial attacks that would leave them without an answer. Also, the remaining wizards, who stood right at the edge of the beach, also made up part of the Bow unit. The Assaulters made up the Trishul unit. 3 single lines of soldiers made up the Trishul formation, advancing and retreating as a single unit. The distance between 2 lines was 2 meters, and the distance between those standing back to back within the same line was 1 meter. The idea of using the formation was to force the opposition to break their ranks and attack in undefined files. Once an attacker slips past the Trishal's head, it can instantly be dealt by player 2 behind him, or player 3, 4, 5, 6. The formation only worked if the tips of the Trishal worked perfectly and in sync with each other. The entire idea of the Trishal formation was to attack strategically and make the enemy bleed, while gaining a steady retreat to recuperate from injuries. Should the enemy give chase, they would find themselves under a barrage from the bow formation. With the promise of safe retreat, all they needed to do was relentlessly push and retreat while dwindling enemy numbers. The creator of this formation was a god in Indian mythology, who was deemed as the god of war because of his outstanding achievements in the battlefield. And now Rudra chose to use it, making me with the rightmost tip, himself being the most important central tip and Karna being the left tip. He explained his plan to the guild, as the members gave their complete support to the idea. While the general plan was to attack and retreat, there was an underlying scheme hidden within this battle strategy, and that was Rudra's masterstroke and his great equalizer, a trap within a trap, that if executed correctly would lead to the Alliance's downfall. Meanwhile, at the Alliance's side of the camp, Scorpio had regained a little bit of peace of mind after he calmly assessed the war situation. They still had 50,000 people left in their corner. Although losing 200,000 men was a tough blow to take, they still outnumbered the elites by a huge margin. Agreed, they had the weird pirate ship off the coast, mounted with the despicable arrow shooting machine. However, there was a limit to what it could do with such a huge distance. Also, the lack of the elites taking any actions made him believe that they too were maybe out of cards, and that they can still win the war easy. The world was watching the war develop, and the 5-minute break before the climax only hyped up the audience more than they were already. Both the elites and the Alliance troops saw a restructuring in formation, and seemed like a clash was imminent. Victory or defeat. It all depended on how well could Rudra lay the trap. If you are reading this book on any site except web novel, you are supporting pirated content. Please do not support piracy. You can read the same content on the original publishing platform web novel. If you are looking for more latest chapters, please read the book on web novel. Meanwhile, the Ambani Corporation. Real world. The secretary was quaking in his boots as he saw the seething Mithun Ambani. Mithun Ambani was in a horrible mood ever since the twins took board seats in the company. Profits and sales had already seen a steep decline after the series of firings of crucial employees. However, the Alliance, where he pumped so much time, money, and effort into, was also currently thoroughly underperforming. Mithun Ambani was absolutely furious. He knew about the massive amount that Ethan Gray bet on the elites. He was desperately hoping for his money to go down the drain. But seeing the elites' performance so far, he was scared that Ethan might just make it big. He was in a bad mood. However, the secretary had an even worse news for him. A recent urgent report came in, informing him that the restricted airspace near his petroleum mine field had been infiltrated by an unknown aircraft, and all efforts to bring it down up till now had been unsuccessful. Mithun Ambani froze. If something were to happen to his petroleum mine. No! The very thought made his soul quake in fear. He looked up towards the heavens as he said, "So you finally decide to punish me, huh?" He hurriedly left watching the live stream, as the petroleum field was a much more pressing matter. Now hopefully the joint protection of country ex-military and hired mercenaries should be enough to thwart the trouble. Or else. / bonus chapter for reaching the golden ticket target. Good job you all. Also, we are really close to hitting the 3,200 PS mark. So hopefully we can have a bonus number 2 today itself. Special shout out to the Noon for the 1,000 coin gift. Thank you for the patronage, my friend. It gave the tired me an energy boost. Also, I would take this opportunity to announce that on popular demand, I have decided to make a Discord server for us all to communicate and share ideas. Details to be shared soon. / Chapter 168 War 8. The elites reorganized themselves into the Trishal formation and started a slow march towards the enemy camp. Even after having a huge numerical superiority, the Alliance was the one who adopted the cautious attitude of wait and see, as they adopted a tight defensive formation to meet the elites. The scene was worth seeing. When seen from an aerial view, it appeared as if a huge Trishal trident was piercing through a sea of men. But the peculiarity of the scene lied in the 3 leaders. Starting from the right tip of the trident, there was Karna, who had currently equipped 3 swords, the third one being in his mouth, him finally revealing the special skill he picked up from the Endless Ocean dungeon. He had a cool and calming attitude around him that calmed the anxious assaulters behind him. He was as steady as Mount Tai, ready for everything that the enemy could throw at him. In the center point of the trident was the unfathomable guild leader Shikuni. He was the guild's heart and soul through and through. The guild members had immense faith in him and his abilities, and would never hesitate to rally under his command. In the left point of the trident, leading the charge was the leveling freak, Neatwit, a fearsome sword in his hand, glowing with black runes. It caused anyone who saw it to cower in fear. And behind these three monster players were the equally talented assaulters and assassins of the true elites. Each elite was the cream of the crop in terms of talent, and easily rivaled 5 normal players under normal conditions. However, with having superior equipment and skill tomes, as well as the support of the best potions available on the market to quickly replenish lost health and stamina, the whole game changed. When only about 20 meters were left between the elites and the enemy lines, Rudra made his first move. He used the Lifestyle Guild's latest product that they produce courtesy of in collaboration between the potion makers and alchemists. The Mist Potion. 5 bottles of haste potions were broken, and within seconds in an entire 2-kilometer radius. Thick fog covered the area. Nobody could see more than a meter in front of them. This is why Rudra placed the soldiers in line back to back about 1 meter from each other, because that was the visibility range. Panic shouts could be heard from the Alliance army, as they kept shouting to make sure that the army was okay. Curses could be heard everywhere, as the Alliance troops complained. I can't see us asterisk 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 in this thing. F asterisk 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 the elites. Always sneaky. Between those screams, the screams of Scorpio could be heard. Is everyone okay? Rudra chuckled for a bit, before he took out the spike bomb and roughly threw it between the enemy lines. Boom! A loud explosion was heard, as screams came out from the Alliance players. The screams made the other Alliance members even more anxious, as they did not understand what was going on. TF is going on here, huh? I heard screams. Is everyone okay? Scorpio shouted. But someone shouted back if everyone was okay. Why would they shout? Dumb BA asterisk 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 asterisk. Scorpio was dumbfounded by the remark, as the psychological game started to work on the Alliance members. The fear of unknown thoroughly gripping them. Rudra nodded for the assassins to break formation and go. This was their chance, as he and the rest of the assault squad also charged in towards the enemy lines. The clash was on. Due to low visibility, the Alliance members had clubbed closer together, which left large patches of no players in the overall formation, completely crumpling its defensive capabilities. The Trident made their way carefully through enemy lines as a tough fight presented itself before the elites. Rudra, Karna, and Neatwit had to take on about 5-6 players simultaneously at the head of the attack, which reduced to 2-3 for those behind him. While after member 4 in the queue, there were only stragglers to deal with. Karna's triple wielding gave him an insane edge over handling the multiple opponents. His ability to block 3 simultaneous sword strikes made it difficult for the opponents to chip damage him, as his brute strength and epic rated sword dealt high damage to his enemies. Karna also had his biggest advantage in his mind's eyes. While everyone else saw blurry images of their opponents, he just closed his eyes to see their every move, every feint, every muscle movement. Thank God for the fog, making it difficult to make out that his eyes were closed, or else his way of fighting would have caused unstoppable waves through the forums. However, even this did not mean he was invincible. Slowly but surely he was accumulating damage. Rudra was faring a little worse than Karna, as not being able to see clearly while fighting multiple opponents reduced his efficiency by a little. He was still more than holding his ground, but the chip damage he was taking was a little more than what he usually would. If you are reading this book on any site except web novel, you are supporting pirated content. Please do not support piracy. You can read the same content on the original publishing platform web novel. If you are looking for more latest chapters, please read the book on web novel. Neatwit was faring the worst of the 3 trident points. While his sword was fearsome, his overall skill, though better than the average player, was not as refined as Karna or Rudra's. He was a player in his growth phase, as every battle was a learning experience that made him better. Even though he had lost 30% of his total HP, he was starting to adapt to the fighting style, as he was taking lesser and lesser damage. The ones who were faring the best, however, were the assassins from the elites. They ran wild in the battlefield. With already low overall vision, their stealth stat made them almost invisible to naked eye. As suddenly an Alliance member would drop dead after experiencing cutthroat. The assassins were the rulers of the battlefield, currently advancing and retreating out of nowhere. Even the highly protected guild leader of True Manchester, De Bruyne, found himself killed by an assassin. The assassin also died, unable to escape the guards guarding De Bruyne once found out. However, he died with a smile, knowing that the trade-off was worth it. The world watched in excitement as the enveloping of the fog and the occasional screams of the dying Alliance members made them extremely curious as to what was going on. In about 20 minutes of intense battle in the fog, about 50 elites and 5,000 Alliance members had died. The bait had been set. Now Rudra had to reel the big fish in for the kill. / Chapter 1 for today. The Power Stone target has been hit. Bonus Chapter 2 will be released very soon. Also, we are only 23 tickets away from hitting the next golden ticket target. Hence, Bonus Chapter 3 is also a possibility. Finally, the Discord is here, pasting the link here as well as the synopsis. Do join. https://discord.gg/kjtrdwcw94. Shout out to Marshall Brand for the 2,000 coins gift and Josiah Templeton for the 1,000 coin gift. Thank you so much, guys. / Chapter 169 War 9. The mist potions were starting to lose effect as little by little the haze was starting to clear out. The elites were slowly but surely starting to be pushed back. Or so they made it seem. The elites had a battered look on their faces. And with more than 45,000 Alliance members still standing, they were in an overall disadvantage. Most of the standing elites were at 50% HP or less, with only some players and assassins being above 70%. But that was because they did not engage in grueling combat. When the fog started to clear, the assassins started to lose their edge as more and more of them were caught and killed. It seemed that the elites were out of tricks, and that the tides of war were turning. Scorpio saw a glimmer of hope, as he ordered the troops to start pressing on the elites. Being pushed at a greater speed, the elites had difficulty retreating safely. The veil of the fog, now clear enough to see 20 meters. More and more elites fell, as the enemies started to attack the tripod formation from the sides. The two files under Karna and Neatwit suffered heavy causalities. Rudra's middle file was mostly intact, but they were under a lot of pressure. The tripod started to compress, as the initial distance of 1 meter between members was reduced to half. Scorpio was delighted to see the elites dying one after the other, his army's numeric superiority coming to full play. Scorpio became excited as he ordered a full charge from the army. The elites looked as if they had no option left as they broke formation to desperately retreat. It was at this moment that guild leader Fernandez of Original Manchester had a bad premonition in his gut. It seemed too easy. They seemed to be forgetting something. And indeed forgetting they were. Suddenly a wave of spells hit their front line. Boom, boom, boom. Fireballs rained from the air. The elite's wizard unit had started to take action. The fog cleared completely, and the Alliance army had a view of what they were missing. They did not understand how in the dense fog, they had little by little moved towards the ocean, as they now realized that they were far too close. In their last moments where they had charged at the elites, desperate to crumple them completely, they had covered close to 50 meters in ground, and now they were under the range of the ship's archballistes, when a rain of arrows started to pour on the army. It was at that moment that they realized their mistake. It was at that moment that Scorpio knew that he up. Rain of arrows started to pierce the enemy as they scrambled in retreat. But boy oh boy, how could Rudra let that happen? He quickly took out the poison mist potions and threw them deep inside the enemy lines. There was a dense layer of poison mist that broke out in the enemy's retreat path, as they were left with no safe path to retreat. For a moment there, the army was utterly confused in what to do. The moment they breathed the potion, they felt weak and nauseated. But the loss of HP wasn't too much. However, the arrows of the elites were deadly. It was at this moment that Rudra also threw the paralysis most potions into enemy lines, and coupled with the wide area covered by poison mist, the 40% movement debuff of the paralysis mist had a deadly effect. Not having the courage left to cross the area of poison plus paralysis mist, the Alliance members were left like lambs to slaughter. Some tried to cross the area. Some tried to turn around and attack the elites. However, most were undecided and under constant shower of arrows. The eyes of the elites changed from praise to hunters, as those who tried to turn to attack them were slaughtered mercilessly. It was a tactical nightmare for the Alliance. The wizards kept downing advanced mana potions, and kept up the relentless assault of AoE spells. Most injured elites got a breather, and used advanced healing potions to regain lost HP. Medivh even forked out another Sea of Fire, his last one possible, to lay rest to a lot of Alliance members. The assassins and the wizard division of the true elites had lived up to their name, as they shined bright in this section of the war. The might of a wizard under a constant stream of mana was terrifying. However, the elites were an exception for having such an endless stream of potions for each of their wizards. By the time the poison mist cleared and a few stragglers were able to retreat, the standing army of 45,000 was cut down to 9,247 members. 3590 of them injured and under 50% HP. to the elites having 127 members, 17 on the ship and 110 on the battlefield, excluding the 10 wizards. There were 40 assaulters and 60 assassins on the battlefield. It was at this moment that Rudra finally shifted from being the strategist to being the absolute incarnation of God of War. This was the number he was confident in dealing with. It was time to duke it out man to man, in a scene that will be remain forever etched in the memories of everyone watching worldwide forever. 110 elites charged at the retreating alliance army of 9,247 to reap their lives. // bonus chapter 2 for today. Congratulations to us all. This week has been the largest collection of Power Stones in the history of the book. I am humbled by the support. The Power Stone department has commanded 4th bonus from me in 7 days this week. We are very close to the golden ticket target as well. The next chapter will see the conclusion of the war. So hopefully we hit it today itself. A big shout out to the Noon for the 2,000 coin gift. Thank you for the motivation, brother. // Chapter 170 Rudra Unleashed, War 10. A wave of emotions were surging throughout the war in Rudra's mind. Although he is proud to say that every single elite played their role and delivered what he asked from them, it was finally him who was at the center of every single phase, responsible for every single move, whether the guild won or lost. He was the one it affected the most. To the others, the elites may lose. They lose money, maybe some respect and some treasures. But for Rudra, once the lost, he would lose his dream. His dream to make the strongest guild and himself becoming the strongest guild master. In his first life, he could not do it. However, rebirth, he would not let the second chance go away. All this time, he was the responsible guild master, who only took calculated risks and ensured that the guild survived first. However, when the number of alliance members left alive dwindled under the 10,000 mark, he finally saw his opportunity to run wild. While only after the enemy odds became under 10,000? Why did he wait so much? It was because that he was now confident that the 10,000 members could never take down a behemoth called the pirate ship and the 17 members headed by SMG ever. Even if every single one of his guild members on land now died, the elites could not lose the war. Not everyone realizes it, however, once the alliance army of 45,000 hit the ocean floor and started to swim towards the pirate ship, there was only so much damage the arrows and cannons could do to 45,000 players underwater. Even if 70% of them are shot down, it would still be thousands of members boarding the pirate ship of 17 and attacking it. Victory was not certain, but with less than 9,247 men, that Rudra and the assaulters would definitely thin out to even lower numbers. He was sure that the ship could no longer be taken down and that victory was bagged. Every single member followed his charge. The 100 combat troops and even the 10 wizards charged towards the retreating alliance army. For anyone who was not familiar with the war scene and who switched on the television just now, this scene would look ridiculous. But to those who were watching this since a long time, their blood pumped at how the tables had turned. Rudra close to the enemy lines, leaped in the air, and landed in the middle of the enemy lines with a strong skill earthquake. Boom! The ground shook upon impact when the elven sword came in contact with the ground, the shockwaves knocking everyone around him down. Slash! 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 Before they even had chance to regain their posture, 6 alliance members were dead just like that. The surrounding alliance members looked at Rudra in fear, and rightly so, as at that moment when they looked in his eyes, they didn't see a human. They saw the goddamn demon of Death Valley, and he was unleashed. Up till this point, Rudra had not used a single of his skill in combat. However, it all changed now. Skill after skill was used as for the first time since getting the skill for a long time. Rudra used Berserk. Rudra's strength experienced an explosive increase as he became a one-man slaughter machine, running through opposition as if they were dirt. Every single one of the elites was doing well, as they fought the enemies through zeal and grit. Neatwit and Karna standing out the most as even they were walking massacre machines. However, Rudra was just on another level currently, as he was literally unparalleled in the battlefield. Nobody could even touch him. Rudra was weaving such powerful yet nimble moves. It was almost as if he was performing a dance of death, as countless enemies were teleported out of the battlefield under his sword. Unbeknownst to Rudra, who had already entered the zone of absolute focus, the elven sword had started to buzz in his hands. It grew hot, and there seemed to be a qualitative change in the blade. The original silver appearance of the blade began to change towards a faint white glow, as a system notification brought Rudra's attention to what was occurring. System notification. The elven sword has recognized your skill as a swordsman worthy of using its power. It has recognized you as its master. The sword's full features are now available to you. The elven sword had recognized Rudra. Elven sword, semi-legendary, a sword of the highest grade made by the elves. It is light and contains an inbuilt power to fight creatures of darkness. Inscribed with the finest runes, it contains a sword heart and will only show its true potential when it chooses a master. Current chosen master, Shikuni One Knight. Effect 1. Can damage all darkness-aligned monsters, including formless monsters, like ghosts and spirits. Effect 2. 10,000 cuts. Use the sword to unleash a terrifying 10,000 cuts on one enemy, or a cut on 10,000 enemies. Effect 3. World/Skill. One of the ultimate skills of the Elven Sword. Unleash one slash that contains 400% your max power. Effect 4. Upgrade to Legendary Grade to unlock. Restriction 1. Righteous Faction. Restriction 2. Knight Class. Rudra was pleasantly surprised to see the insanely overpowered skills that came with the sword acknowledging him as its master. As he tested the skill 10,000 cuts, the air suddenly changed around him, as countless wind blades started to appear. 10,500,100,010. 000 blades appeared, looking like 10,000 elven swords, and with a move of Rudra's arm descended on the Alliance army. To the millions watching worldwide, this was an earth-shattering moment as Rudra showed a skill far beyond what any knight or swordsman in the game could do. It was a sword skill that had a deadly AoE effect. Every single Alliance member alive felt the strike, and many who had low HP were tipped over the death line as they were killed by the move. However, to their worst nightmare, Rudra did not stop even after the move. As like a grim reaper who did not rest, he kept running through enemy lines, and somehow he had become even more fierce. After Elven Sword recognized Rudra,
हेलो
मैं बस थोड़ा कम बोलता हूँ।
हेलो
अरे
अरे भाई फैक्ट्री के ऊपर न मानो यार फैक्ट्री के ऊपर नहीं यार एडी को ना एडी एडी उतारो 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 अरे एडी एडी ठीक है भाई ठीक है यार मेरा किल कोई भी सही नहीं खेलेंगे यार यार मुझे तो 500 टोकन मिल रहा है यार बंदे बंदे भाई आना मत ये बंदा था यार अरे जाओ ना इसके साथ अरे देखो बगल आ गया वो अरे कुछ ना अरे यार तू भी मारना ये तो एक नंबर बॉट है यार Oh! हाँ भाई कौन हुआ ना फिर ना फिर मोबाइल देखो ना কোনো করব হুম আসল না একজন না ওয়াল ওয়াল ঘর দাও না খাবে বন্যা না ঘুরে দাও সব লাইছো সব মোবাইল মোবাইল ফটো দেখো থাম وابقى فؤاد حبيبي
मेरा हाथ ठोका डिब्बा मेरा काम करेगा। खुला हुआ भाई।
भैया सबके ही खुला हुए।
मैं खेला था भाग दौड़ के साथ। चला मैं तो भाई रिवाइव 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 दे दो भाई। कहाँ भाग रहा है?
भाई ये पहले लूट करने के चक्कर में लग रहे हैं।
हाय 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 भाई 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 क्या बनेगा मेरा। अभी ऊपर होंगे ना ये लोग, रिवाइव कर रहा होगा ऊपर। टीम वाइप हुई है, नो वन इज देयर। आजा हर्ष, लाइट ऑन करते। लाइट नहीं है लगता है उधर, वो कर क्या कहते हैं, बाहर बैठ जा और अपना साइंस का निकाल दे, शुरू कर दे पढ़ना। मैं आता हूँ।